Welcome back to Newcomers People, where I explore what it means to be an immigrant with immigrants like myself. Today, I'm talking with Kelly Boyi, who moved to Canada 12 years ago and then broke the internet by saying, "Hey, folks, I'm leaving for the States." The ICC calls that thing the leaky bucket, where people come to Canada, stay here for a bit, and then move out. Like, it's bittersweet for me. I'm happy for folks like him who decide, like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I want to go try out other things. But I'm also sad for Canada itself, because that's talent leaving. I mean, isn't that what immigration is all about? So, in some extent, for a country, you bring people in, and they help the country become a much better nation for those coming and those the unborn. But yeah, let's get to his story where he says why he's going and where we compare America to the States, and try to answer if is this an unfair comparison when we say America and the States in terms of salaries and the rest. Let's get to it. You know, a couple of weeks or months ago, I think you broke the Canadian internet on LinkedIn.
I did.
Yeah, with this interesting post, and that you're leaving Canada. And I think someone made a parody of it and also broke the internet. I think I saw someone make a parody of it. Not the person
hmm
that copied you. Someone made something that was like but his own was that he was staying, which I found that interesting.
hmm
But you were here 12 years.
Yeah.
That for me, like, that's a while. Like, I'm just 4 years in here. Like, I'm getting to my, so 12 years. So what I'm trying to just kind of understand is, so if you think about, like, when you moved, how it was, and now you're there, you're deciding to leave. What are the biggest differences that you've seen over that time, which kind of led you to kind of saying, okay, I think I want to go try it out somewhere else?
hmm hmm that's an interesting question. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think it's good when we share our ideas and knowledge just so we can help inspire someone
Yep.
or just push someone to actually do something they want to do, right? To
Yeah.
show them it's possible.
Yep.
But like you said, I decided to leave Canada after almost 12 years. I came to Canada as an international student to study. I did my undergrad in Canada, loved it. The initial idea was come to Canada to study, bounce back home. But I finished, I got into the system, and I just loved it, right? Canada has a lot to offer. Very polite people. The weather is nice. Sometimes I miss winter. The truth be told, I actually miss winter right now. Um,
Are you
the
serious?
weather is nice. I miss Timmy's. I need a Tim Hortons right now, double double. I love Tim Hortons. I love the people. Very diverse, multicultural. You get to try different food, meet different kind of people, and the landscape. My goodness, traveling from the west to the east, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. So I love Canada for that. And when I came, I know I said something on my post that uh, the Canada I came has changed for the better. I'm not sure, right? Question mark there. When I came at that time, housing was more affordable. Access to jobs were more affordable. Yes, it wasn't as much people as we have right now. Um, then you can, finish school, get a job, and go buy a house, for maybe 300, $400,000. If it's expensive, 500K. But these days, uh, good luck if you find any of that. Yeah. But Canada still remains, like I said, remains my home. It was lovely, the environment, the people. Canada gave me everything. It gave me my first shot at anything. My first real job, my first real relationship, my first car, my first house, you name it. Canada gave me everything, right? My whole family lives in Canada right now. That's how important Canada is to me. But as I continue to grow in Canada professionally, but also from an entrepreneurial point of view, I work as a project manager. I'm a licensed engineer, so I work in this innovation technology space. So I'm always at the forefront of, cutting edge technology. And because of that, I am fortunate where I am mentoring and coaching people. I am trying different business ideas to see what sticks. And so far, so good. I still have businesses in Canada, but I got to a point where I started running to a brick wall in terms of what I wanted to do. from both from a professional point of view, but also from a career point of view. Because let's talk about professionally. I got to a point where I had enough experience. I was doing okay, actually. I was doing okay in Canada, but I knew there was more because when I look across, the border, my peers there had less experience or qualification than me. We're like earning twice as much as me. I'm like, how's that even possible? Right?
Yeah.
So I knew there was this gap. And how do I close that gap? The truth is, I started closing that gap eventually, but I knew there was still a long way to go. Right? For example, you look at Canada, some of my qualification in Canada, the truth is, you wouldn't make more than 200K. Fine, you wouldn't make more than 150 grand, right? But you come across the border, right? They're throwing 250 grand to you immediately, right? So it gets you thinking like, huh? Why is it like this? And then from an entrepreneurial point of view, it's more like, okay, I want to do big stuff. I want to try stuff. I'm a generalist. I break stuff as I go, right? And access to funding, to capital was just not there. Yes, we have this grant system in Canada where everyone has to go through this grant system, but I
I
don't
hate
think it's
that, by the way.
sufficient. Oh, trust me, don't get me started. I've won grants myself. Me and my team, we've won grants. However, it's very limited. The competition is fierce, and I've actually gone through some grants where it's not a fair process. What I realized quickly is you can actually put in a very solid application, but just because your application came maybe a week before it closes, they're actually not going to read that application. They tend to read the first couple people that actually
Oh
applied
wow.
first. If you notice, most people that win grants are the ones that submitted first.
Oh
It, it's
wow.
it, that's the system, right? I know people are going to hate me for saying that, but that is the system. So if you see a grant, like put in a good application, but apply early. That is your chance to win. But if you put in a solid application towards the end, forget about it. I've actually had emails sent to me like, "Hey, well, sorry, you sent in your application late. Not late, like later. Strong application, but try applying next year." So that grant system is not sufficient. 5,000 here, $10,000 here. If you run a very high intensive computing startup, you can blow through 20, 50 grand in a weekend. So it's nothing,
Yeah.
right? I'm grateful for what I've received, but I think we need to dream bigger. But on the other side, I also think I like to stop myself and say, you know what, Canada is just what, 30, 40 million people, right? The US is over 300 million people.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like 10,
that.
10%, like maybe trying to compare, we're trying to compare like orange to watermelon here, right?
You know.
But I just feel there's a little bit more that can be done in terms of the policies to just encourage like small businesses, startups. We have the brightest minds here. Like there's University of Toronto, there's Waterloo. We have the brightest mind here. Like BlackBerry started here. AI, like one of the grandfather of AI in Toronto. So there's a lot of very intelligent people in Toronto, in Canada as a whole. And I think we need to start creating policies and systems that would encourage people to start stuff, but also fund them, bring in those investors from the US, right? Bring those investors globally. So for me, like I said, I run to a brick wall. I'm like, all right, I'm sort of struggling a little bit, but I'm a big believer of if you're trying to do something great, go to places where you're surrounded with the same kind of people and the environment like feeds you and you feed off the energy. And that's why I decided to pack up my bags and I moved across to Silicon Valley because the energy out here is just different. People, yeah, everyone is working full-time jobs, but people are just hungry. They're creating stuff, they're building stuff, they're trying stuff, they're breaking stuff. That's what I love. So, not sure where this journey is going to take me to, but I'm excited. Part of it is scary because again, I'm
Oh, of
starting all
course.
over
Of
again.
course.
I
Of
feel
course.
like an immigrant, right? Again. So, but on this side, so far so good. Weather is good. The people are actually okay compared to, California is a more liberal state, so I think people are also friendly here. So I think that's
Yeah.
a plus for sure. But there's a couple of things that are new to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I never really thought about that. And the funny thing is, I've traveled the US like every year, but I've never really stayed more than like a week, 2 weeks. So now I'm sitting in a different like,
Yep. Oh yep. Yep.
oh, I never really saw that. Um, Something happened to me 2 days ago where um, I was hanging out with TechCrunch and it was late. I had to go eat. And I walked into the restaurant. I bought some food. And this burger they handed me, this Philly burger, I'm like, goodness, now I understand why Americans are huge people. Not just fat, like huge, right? Because just the food they eat, like the portion is massive. It feels like they just took the chicken breast, dipped it inside the bottom of the oil, and just brought it out. Like, here you go, here's the food. I'm like, oh, I need to watch my waistline here, right? So, well, so far so good, right? So that was the Canada I came to, and like I said, and me leaving, deciding to pack up my bag, saying, "All right, it's time for new adventure. It's time for me to actually go push myself and do more and get myself into an environment that would actually push me beyond my comfort zone or my limits."
And great point there, because I was in a conversation with someone yesterday, and we talked about. I asked him a question where I said, and this is me playing devil's advocate. I don't know what the answer is,
Yeah.
and you kind of talked a bit about it in terms of like sometimes I feel like are we when we're in Canada, is the problem that because we are neighbors to America,
Hmm.
then we are always comparing ourselves to them. You know, that thing. It's a forced, the human thing. So we just
Yeah.
compare ourselels to them because you're beside America, so you're like, oh yeah, oh that's why are we not like them? But then you
Yes.
like you mentioned, 300 million, we're 30, 40 million people still growing.
Yeah.
This still doesn't mean that there are not things that we can do better. Like there are things I think we can
Hmm.
do better as a country, whether it's 30, 40 million people.
Hmm.
But then the guy mentioned said something really interesting. His name is Ben Su. He runs a business called Capital. Very brilliant dude. He said there's something else to think about. Like if you think about it from how both countries were founded,
Hmm.
Americans were the ones who were disloyal to the monarchy,
Yeah. To the Brits. Yeah.
and they moved to that side and they fought the war and they built. And the guys that were here were the ones who were loyal to the monarchy.
Correct.
So, from the founding principles point of view, the guy said something.
It's a
America is the
different ballgame.
greatest startup on earth.
Agree. Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
And George Washington was I think that's his name, right? Or that's the name of the guy. Like,
The present. Yeah.
he was the founder of the greatest startup on earth. America is the greatest startup on earth, and which is why the energy there is different, because really America was a startup,
Hmm.
you know. And but then the question you now say is that, but we're this side, can't we just take some of that energy and just
Yeah.
apply it to how we do things, because we can't keep losing people. I mean, do you know Clay?
Clay.
Clay
I'm not sure I do. Maybe
is
if I
one of
see
the
the
hottest.
face.
Yeah, it's one of the hottest startups in one of the hottest
Clay.
startups in SF right now, across the world. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
I
Clay.
heard yesterday that the dude was Canadian.
Oh, there's so many Canadians out here. So
And,
many.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. The company I work for, I thought I was the only Canadian. When I walked in, they're like, "Oh, that guy's a Canadian. That guy's a Canadian." I'm like, "Oh, there's a lot more. There's a lot more of us here, right?" So
Then
lots of Canadians, yeah,
yeah, and
out here.
I saw something on LinkedIn the other day. So I think it's a founders lounge stuff. It happens in
Hmm.
SF, and the guy was saying that where all the other students, 20% of the kids that applied for that were from Waterloo.
Oh yeah.
twenty percent.
I believe that.
And he was saying where are the other kids? All I was seeing when I saw that thing was that is talent that has been hoovered up.
Hmm.
They've paid for school fees here. They've been taught on Canadian soil. Then they moved to the US. And all we get of them is when they visit, because literally they go there and pay taxes. They go there, build
Hmm.
businesses, and pay taxes there.
Correct.
And so it's like it's an economic problem. Like we can talk about it, or we can use fancy words and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an economic problem. That's why like you said, I believe the grant system is good for certain things,
Hmm.
but we need to build a system where the market punches you in the face and says you don't know what you're doing, or the market gives you a hug and says you know what you're doing, and we back the winners. Like we keep backing winners, because
Hmm.
then that way, what you kind of kick that off is then the innovation cycle just starts. It's most like it's like pouring
Yep.
fuel, because the market
Fuel
is
itself. Yeah.
the market is saying, hey, does he doesn't know what he's doing? Shut down that podcast. Kelly is the one who's
Hmm.
doing the right thing. Oh, Kelly, yeah, here's
Let's
money.
fund him. Yeah, let's fund him. Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with you. While Canada is the best country, love it. It's still my home. I'm still going to be visiting Canada, like, maybe every other month.
Visit.
Um,
God.
but I think Canada got the worst of capitalism and the worst part of socialism. That's how I put Canada. We've got so many monopolies in Canada, like, you know, a lot of companies, the Rogers, the Bells, the family running Loblaws, those are the, what's it called? The monopolies. And then we've got the worst part of socialism. So, I'm not sure, but I agree with you. I think policies would change a lot of things. Policies that will favor startups, policies that will favor small businesses, policies that will bring in investors, policies that will say, hey, investor, you can bring your money, we won't tax you, right? Hey, as opposed to spending that $1 million in US, bring it to Canada, won't tax you. Or uh, if you make a profit, will it tax you? A very small percentage. Those kind of policies would encourage, investors to come out, right? So I think policy change would help us stop the leaking basket. There's actually a report out about this
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah. I interviewed
I
her
think it's called
about
the
it.
leaky basket.
Yeah, yeah. At Daniel
Yeah.
Bernard and Co. Yeah, yeah.
So that would help in terms of stopping that leaky basket. Because the truth is, if I'm in Canada and I can maybe not earn exactly like what my peers earn in the US, but maybe close enough, right?
I
And
will move.
housing is
I will
affordable,
move.
right? And I can get decent access to capital to like start a business and run a startup. Why am I moving?
Yeah. Like why? Like
Like, why
what
am
am
I
I moving
moving?
for? What am I
Exactly.
moving for?
So, so those are the things that need to happen where people are just like, no, I don't think I can stay here and it's going to take me 5, 10 years to get to where I need to get to, or I can move and it will take me maybe 2 or 3 years.
Look, what I've never said this on the show before. I only say this to friends. So I'm probably saying. So I see as a friend, I'm saying to you. I don't know what I'm saying to you, but yeah. So the I worked in SF or when SF startup when I just moved to Canada for like almost 2 years plus.
Okay.
Then I moved to a Canadian business. I took a 40K pay cut.
Yeah.
I took a 40K Canadian pay cut to make that move.
Yeah.
I moved for certain reasons, some things I wanted to learn and stuff like that. But I took a
Yeah.
40K pay cut. It was a 40K pay cut. That makes absolutely no sense. I appreciate my wife because she allows me to try out things. I'm now on my
Yeah.
own building this podcast. I wouldn't do that without my wife.
Yeah.
I can imagine that there's some people partners who will be like, "What are you okay? What are you trying to do? What are
How
you
would you do that?
doing?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?" I have friends who told me I was silly. But again, I mean, life is a journey. But I took a 40K pay cut just because I said I was resigning from a role in an SF startup
Hmm.
work in a Vancouver business.
Business. Yeah. Yeah. I totally get it. I totally understand. It's just yeah, and we touched on, are we actually comparing maybe apples to,
Oranges and stuff,
pineapples or, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that. Obviously, the currencies are different, right? The Canadian
Yeah.
currency is a bit weaker than the US. So there's that play there. The US market is obviously like 10 times bigger than the Canadian market.
Yeah.
So the truth be told, the more I start reviewing the two countries, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we're not doing Canada any favor when we try to compare. But like you said earlier, let's create our own policies that would actually favor us, right? Favor the people in here, right? If let's say we say, okay, forget the US, for example, let's just focus on Canada. What can we do about Canada where, businesses will pay where, which means in terms of the taxes, the businesses and the individual pay would be less. I think would encourage businesses to pay more. If the infrastructure is there for people to live, like housing and everything is affordable, I mean, people can live more decently. Those kind of things, I think, if they're available within these 30, 40 million people, I think a lot more people will feel much better as opposed to let me pack up and
Let
move.
me
Yeah.
find something and say it. I want to read something to you. Her interview comes out before yours. It comes out
Okay.
this month. Her name is Ash. She moved from Calgary to New York.
Oh, okay.
And let me just read what something she has. Sorry. I want to find it. Which she says how did she put it? I love Canada, but Canada doesn't have the resources for me to thrive.
Mm, mm, word, word. Yeah, I understand what you mean.
And I need the nurturing, which comes with resources, which look like money, capital, talent, ecosystem.
Mm,
It looks like if I go outside, I can probably run into someone who's doing insanely cool things and find someone to collaborate at some point.
yeah,
And it's really hard for me to do that in Canada.
yeah.
There are ecosystems in Toronto and Vancouver, and I'm sure they're great, but there's a reason why they call it the brain drain of Canada. Most Waterloo kids go to San Francisco in tech.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I work with a couple of them, so I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. It's Canada. There's no more we can do there.
Like I don't know. Like it's we talk a lot about it, but let's stop bashing some country. I love it. Let's stop bashing. It's not gonna bash it too much. Like you said, like you said, I feel like there's also the apples and oranges thing, whereas America
Mhm.
is a very different beast.
It's a different business. So.
Founding principles, a ton of things. I think for me is the thing I just want is can we just show that we're actually moving forward and doing things? Yeah, because there are things
Hmm.
that we do. There's like for example, this is my last now. Say I hate the fact that there are courses out in schools teaching people how to apply for grants. I hate that there's that. Like I I hate that. I hate I don't like using the word hate, but I hate that there are
Yeah.
courses out there that teach people how to apply for grants. Because
Wow.
it's a thing. It means that it's a systemic thing that is
It's a
in
systemic thing.
there.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
it's one way. It's a
This is
way.
how we
It's the
work.
way. Yeah, it's work to do. I'm like,
Hmm.
no, this.
It has to be different. Yeah.
But then let's go to you now.
Hmm.
Deciding to leave, like, was it easy? Was it hard? Like, like how did you how long did it take you to decide to go? Like, how long did it take you to craft that LinkedIn post? That's actually what I'm interested in because I read that post and I'm like, I read it twice actually.
Yeah.
Then I left it. I came back to it 3 days later. I opened because I saved it. I read it
Yeah.
again. So I was reading him. I said, this guy wrote this post probably 5, 6 times, deleted it, wrote it again, wrote it. Like, because I was reading, I was because every single word in there
Yeah.
was picked carefully. And I was like, this that's why I said I had to interview you. This post, it was a please understand me. That's
Yes.
how it
Yes.
felt.
Yes. Yes. Was it hard? First and foremost, let's just say this. It wasn't easy. All right. Well, I wouldn't say it was too difficult. Was it hard? Yes, because my whole life is in Canada, right? I've got investment, my family, um, you know, businesses. My whole network is in Canada, right? So Canada gave me a home. A lot of my friends call me, Kelly of Canada. They're like, well, yeah, you got to change your name now because wherever I went, I always raised the Canadian flag because I was always proud of it. And that's why it took a lot of people aback, like, wow, if Kelly of Canada is leaving, like, what is happening? Um, so I would, so it wasn't as hard, but it was a difficult decision to make. Like, hey, I'm going to leave mom and dad, my siblings, my friend, my partner, those kind of stuff. And how long did it take me? So I started talking about US. I think during COVID, some of my friends in the US like, oh, Kelly, it's time for you to come this way. I'm like, yeah, guys, I love Canada. I'm gonna come. So I'm always visiting. And then, and then, funny thing is, about a year ago, I actually wrote a post on LinkedIn that I said, I love Canada, but Canada is no longer. I think the title of that post was Canada is no longer the promised land. That was the title of the post, and I wrote, just put in my thoughts there, as I usually do on LinkedIn. And I was saying, look at this great country, look at how far we've come, but a lot of things have gone sideways because of the leadership, right? Regardless of who we had in power, right? Whether it's liberal, because I don't really care. But in terms of where the leadership is taking us, I don't think we're going in the right direction. Look at infrastructure problem, healthcare system. I keep saying this publicly. I had a better medical care system in Nigeria than in Canada. Period. Let's just say that, right? Maybe I was fortunate, but that's it.
I always
Because
disagree with that, but though.
why, back in Nigeria, maybe the max I waited for a doctor was like 2 hours, right? Here, my mom went to the doctor like a couple of weeks ago. It was 12 or 14 hours. That's ridiculous. Who does that, right? Um, what if whatever you're feeling gets,
Worse,
terminal, right?
worse.
You're gone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
If you look at the amount of people that are dying just sitting on the waiting list in Canada, it's like, okay, come on, we got to do something, right? We can build infrastructure. So the medical system needs to be looked at again, right? Too many red tapes. Get people who are experienced into the system now, right? Yeah, let them write certification exam, but maybe reduce the amount of stuff they need to do and get them into the system, right?
yeah.
The next part, infrastructure, the housing, the bridges, the roads, the tunnels, the fast rail system running from, let's say, Windsor, Ontario, all the way to like Montreal. They've been debating this for decades, even if I came to Canada, still to today. They said yes, they just signed a contract to start designing. I guarantee you they will debate that for the next 10 years. So we have to change our mindset. Canadians are polite people, but sometimes I think we think too small sometimes. And I like, guys, come on. I was placed on this earth not to think small. I gotta dream bigger, right? So these things need to change, right? These things we need change. That's just the honest truth. And I sat in this point, I'm like, yeah, I can either be here and be the change. I can be here and fight, and it will cost me 5 years, 1 decade, 2 decades, or I can go somewhere where I can make an impact, accelerate my growth, and actually look back and say, you know what, okay, what can I give back to this place that gave me everything, right?
Yeah.
What can I take back to people that have supported me and guided me to where I am today? And I decided, okay, you know what, it's time to start looking at the US. And I would say late last year, you know, I was looking and I'm like, okay, it's time for my new opportunity. And I was looking at Canada and I realized this market is just different. What is going on? And I'm like, okay, maybe I should just try the US and see what's gonna happen. And I tried the US, and the truth be told, the US opened its arm like this, like, bro, come right in. And I sat my parents, I'm like, hey, I'm considering moving to the US. My dad is like, so what are you still waiting here?
Jesus.
Like, you're young. Go, right?
I love your
You've
dad,
you,
man.
you've done very well in Canada. You've thrived. You inspire people, right? You're doing great, but you're still young. Go, right? What is the worst that can happen, Kelly? If you go there, it doesn't work out, you don't like it. Guess what?
Come
You
back.
can always come back home. Look at the bright side. And then I looked. I'm like, I talked to a couple of my friends. They're like, Kelly, you gotta go, and that was it. I would say within like a 60-day period. Bags are packed. I flew to Nigeria. I took the whole December off. I rested. The moment I came back, I'm like, all right. It's, within this 60-day period, I came back, all right, let me start packing up my bags. And yeah, and that was it, right? Jumped on the flights, landed in San Francisco. And I'm out here, trying to figure things out, starting all over, getting, your car registered. I was able to ship my car, so that was good. Getting a new license, your social security number, just understanding how the health system work here, those kind of stuff, apartment. But I think the experience in Canada has prepared me where I'm actually moving through these things very quickly compared to
Yeah.
someone who just arrived.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
You're like
leveraging
a
my
second,
knowledge.
like you're like a second immigration journey. So
Yeah,
it's simpler. You're not all that existential crisis you dealt with. You dealt with the first time. So this is why I was like, oh, okay, this was okay. Let's sort it out.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I'm out here and excited to see where this journey is going to take me.
you know, it's sad. Like I said earlier on, it's sad. It's like I feel bittersweet about it.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, it's sad. Like, oh, I'm happy for you because I'm always happy to see people chase their dreams. Because I'm one of the biggest people who always say to someone,
Hmm.
I feel fear, but I always act despite fear. That's how I've always operated all my life. So when I see
Yeah.
someone do that, I'm like, yeah, that's my spirit animal. Like, just go and do the thing. The worst thing that can
Mm-hmm.
happen is no. The worst thing that can happen is you fail. But you know what?
Hmm.
You spend 6 months learning. You learned a new thing. You're a different animal from the
Yeah.
one that started that journey. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then again, also it's bitter to me because I keep seeing these things. I interviewed Dana Berhan last year, December last year, about
Mm.
that leaky bucket report. And I keep seeing these things, and because I think for me also, because I'm married, I have 2 kids, and I have 2 young boys, two
Yeah.
sharp young boys, and then, you look at them and you're like, what's the you want?
What's the
I really
future for
future,
you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I want really want them to have a future in Canada, because I love this country so much. I love the people. I love the the environment. I'm not sure about the climate that much. I mean,
Mm.
maybe when I'm 12 years like you, I'll be like, oh, I miss winter right now. I mean, when the call started, my eyes are hurting because literally
Yeah.
every single time we switch from spring to summer, like I go through like serious eye pain.
Yeah.
So but I still love the country and all that. And then, I put a post up last week on LinkedIn about last year I fractured my knee last year while I was playing competitive soccer. I had to go for surgery, and
Yeah.
from the surgery done, I got a blood clot in the process.
Oh man.
I had to, but the hospital saved me. I mean, maybe
Mm.
somewhere else, I won't be here anymore, but the hospital
Fair
saved me.
enough.
And,
Yeah.
and I had palpitations some weeks ago because I don't know what happened. The ambulance came in and picked me up and rushed me to the hospital because of the clot.
Yeah.
So it's just all those things. And I'm like, so I love what the country is giving me. But then again, you look at, like you said, you have kids and you look at their future and you're like,
Mm.
where are we going to be in 10 years when my son is going to be 19?
Yeah.
Where are we going to be in 20 years when he's 29? And if we're
Hopefully in a
not,
better place. Hopefully in a better
hopefully,
place. Yeah.
hopefully, I mean, if we have, I think we should start, well, as long as we start having the right conversations,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we build systems that allow people like you who leave to somehow come back. Because you know how you can say it all you want, but like I said to
Yeah.
you before we started recording, I think you can't out entrepreneur bad policy. You
No,
can't.
you just cannot.
Yeah, you can dream
No.
all you want, but if you've built stuff there and you're like trying to come back or do stuff here, and the system doesn't encourage you to bring stuff in, you're just going to sit back and be like, "Why am I stressing myself?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Canada. So like my LinkedIn post said, right? Is this like goodbye forever? I don't believe so. I see myself at some point saying, you know what, it's time to go back home. Um, and when that time comes, I would know because I'm like, all right, I've explored, I've done what I came to do. You know, it's time to go back home, and that's okay. I still have a big network in the Toronto area, so I'll still be popping up for events, to facilitate workshop and speak at events and all that. Um, but you asked me a question earlier about, how long it took me to write my post. I would say it took a couple of weeks where I started the draft. I left it, my Google sheet, doc, came back to it, added some stuff, went back, came back. So I just kept on refining and refining because the message I wanted to put out there is like, hey, here's where I'm at. Um, I got to a point where it was just time for something new, right? Um, it's not, I'm saying, hey, middle finger to Canada and move on. No, it's more, Canada, you gave me everything, right? But sometimes you have to go somewhere to do some other stuff. And I've always been this person. If you ask anybody around me, I'm a go-getter. I'm a generalist. I like to try things. I like to fail. I tell people I actually enjoy failing because the most successful people on planet Earth are the ones with the highest number of failure. And I'm at a point in my life where the fear of not trying outweighs the fear of failure.
Yeah.
So
Never
I'm
lose
like,
that, by
well,
the way, though, Kelly. Never lose that.
yeah.
Never
And
lose that.
I pray I don't lose that,
Never
right?
lose that.
Just keep going
Never lose that.
because the truth is, you'd never know wi- if you don't dare to try. And yeah, sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. However, you can stay on your side and never get to the other side of anything you want to do and just stay in your comfort zone. And something, me and comfort zones, we don't agree. We don't agree. Yes, I get comfortable for a second. I'm like, okay, live in the moment, enjoy what you just achieved, Kelly. But it's time to move because when you get so comfortable, that's when you become complacent. And the truth be told, I think for all of us that have moved away from Nigeria to Canada, let's be honest, all of us are go-getters. It's not easy
Yeah.
to pack up especially for those people that were like over 30 or 40 when they packed up.
Yeah.
Fam, it's not easy to do that,
Dude,
right?
I left
Uh,
Diageo. I left Diageo to move to Canada.
See? So it's a big move. But then what happens is this: we come, we land, couple of years, and we become complacent. We just stay in this place where
Yeah.
instead of we're complacent, or fear just cripples us like, let me just stay, yo. And I'm like, dream a bit bigger. Dream a bit bigger. I do have something coming down the pipeline. Because my story personally, from even from when I was a student and now, I've always been in this environment where people looked up to me, even people that were older than me. I'm not sure why, but they were always inspired by things I did or my own story. And it's been like that for the last 12 years. And I'm like, okay, if people are going to look up to me, I'm a Christian. So the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I'm like, all right, if this is the crown God has given me, let me wear it. And I'm a big believer of as you succeed, your success is not just for you, it's actually for the people behind you because getting to the top of the mountain and you're just there by yourself, it's very lonely at the top, right? Open the door, keep the door open for other people to come in. And that's what I want to do with my own journey from a professional point of view, from a business point of view, and from a personal point of view as well.
Yeah. So we're rounding up now. I mean, I think last question for me is like, so what's next right now? Like it's workings, running a business, jumping straight into startup scene, finding the balance. Like What
Mm.
next? Yeah.
That's a great question. I'll always tell my mentees and my clients, you don't have to figure it out from the start,
Mm,
right? I'm a project manager. I work in project management right now in the clean tech space. And one of the reasons why I chose to come out here to Silicon Valley is, again, if you want to do something great in finance, you go to New York. You want to do something great in entertainment, you go to LA, right? In fashion, you go to Paris or Italy. But you want to do something in innovation and technology, there's only one place that comes to mind. It's Silicon Valley, where the energy is just different, right? And whether you're working on a startup or you're working for a company, whatever you're working on has the potential to change the fabric of how we live, work, and play. That's why I came out here. So as a technical project manager right now, my project's actually focused on how we power AI data centers. A lot of people don't talk about it, but I believe, I know it sounds controversial, AI has no future. If we don't solve the energy problem, it has no future. And I actually have a post coming on that next week, Monday. Um, it's big because, yes, it takes more energy to use ChatGPT to, for one
to
prompt
create a prompt.
compared to like
Yeah.
Google. So it's a lot of energy. So we need to solve that problem. So I'm really excited. I'm part of those people trying to solve that problem. So that's one part of it. Yes, I'm out here where people are just doing different stuff. Ideas are just like bumping into each other, right? I signed up to Y Combinator. I'm going to the event. I'm just meeting people. I'm like, all right, let me meet people. You never know, and that's why I love in-person events. Yes, connecting and engaging with people online is great, but that in-person part, I don't joke with it. It's very important. So it's more. Yes, I'm out here still running stuff in Canada, but I'm also working here. I'm exploring ideas. I'm exploring opportunities. I'm just trying to have fun and just live life the way I can. That's it. Right. So I would say to the audience, just watch out. There's a lot more to come as I continue to just explore stuff. In project management, there's something we call progressive elaboration. It just means as you progress, things get clearer and clearer and
Yeah.
clearer and clearer.
Yeah.
I just arrived. So just, there's still a lot to explore.
Enjoy
So
it, man. Enjoy it.
exactly. So as it comes, you just never know, right? I told people like, hey, I'm in Silicon Valley right now. Yeah, maybe tomorrow I may be in New York or I may be in Austin, Texas. Who knows, right? But I'm out here. I'm daring to try, and I'm just chasing a dream, and I'm just really excited to see where this journey actually takes me.
First of all, before I sign this off, I love the energy that how you lit up while you're talking about this. Like, I absolutely love it. But thank you. Like, honestly, thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for being very frank. Because I feel like we need really frank conversation about one, where Canada is, two, and what's possible.
Hmm.
And three, I think there's something you talked about. Like, you talked about it, but you just moved on, which is that part about how if you already packed your life into two suitcases and moved to a new country, why dream small?
Hmm.
Like, why? Like, you already just literally packed up, moved out, started afresh. So what are
Hmm.
you scared of? Failing? Yo, you immigrating means that to some extent you said your past life was a failure somehow. Like you press stop there
Hmm.
and say, you know what, I'm gonna go start again. You could call it
Correct.
whatever, but the point is that you can tell me failure is not working out, and that's what you did. So what are you
Hmm.
scared of?
What are
So
you
yeah,
scared of?
but
That's a
thank you.
good way. Yeah.
Thank
No,
you.
no, I appreciate you having me here. And I always tell people when they reach out to me, oh, Kelly, I just came to Canada and I saw your post and I'm so worried. Like, did I come late? Here's what I tell people. We all walk different paths in life. And comparison is the thief of joy. You cannot compare your story with mine, first and foremost, because I'm already in my chapter 20. You're in your chapter 2. If you start comparing your chapter 2 and my chapter 20, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? Okay, like I just arrived, I just graduated, and then I saw your post. Oh, did I come to Canada late? Oh, I'm thinking of moving to Canada, and I saw your post. So should I stop? I'm like, buddy, do whatever you want to do, right? People are succeeding in Canada. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, right? But you should know that I've been there for 12 years and decided to leave. You haven't even stepped foot there, right? So take other people's story, take input, take feedback, but make sure you be careful with what you listen to or you watch or you read. But make sure you're taking those inputs and using them as fuel to make the right decision for yourself and move on. Because the truth is, no other person on planet Earth is like Kelly Boyi. No other person. Yeah, you can maybe say, oh, but I went to the same school as you, or I graduated from program. But what I've done, what I've tried, some of the failures, some of the successes, you have never experienced it, unfortunately. So I want my story to be more of an inspiration to people that, hey, a skinny boy who was born and raised in Delta State, Nigeria, can leave, come to Canada, excel professionally, right? And say, all right, it's time to go excel in the biggest startup in the world, the United States. I want that to be an inspiration to people, as opposed to a deterrent. That, hey, don't go to Canada again. No, is Canada easy like it used to be before? Let's be honest, no. However, you have to come with a plan. If you're coming to Canada to just come and relax, you're wasting your time. Because in Canada, you have to blow your own trumpet. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. You need to think and act differently if you actually want to see significant results for yourself. But if you decide to come and follow the masses, you may regret your decision coming to Canada. I'll leave it there.
That's a good place to end this. That's a really
Absolutely.
good place to end this. Thank you so much. Thank you. Like Kelly, I really, really, really appreciate this. Honestly, like I really, especially
Okay.
that part about comparison. Like, gosh, because it's so easy as an immigrant to start doing the thing where you're comparing yourself with everyone else.
Yeah.
You know. So thank you very much, G. Thank you. Like as Kelly says, if you're still planning to come to Canada, I think you should still move here, because really everyone's path is different. His year 12 is not my year 4. Like all of us have different journeys. It doesn't change the reality on ground. But what you shouldn't do is say because someone did X, so you're going to do X. Like his question is find your own journey. But again, as always, thank you so much for getting to this point of the podcast. I really appreciate that. If you know someone who finds it useful, send this to them. If you know someone who I should talk to, who you think has a great story, please send them my way. Please sign up. We're on Substack, YouTube. Anywhere you get your podcast, you find us there. Have a beautiful one, everyone.